transmission. Automatic. Select transmission. Automatic. Welcome to the car. Good luck.
Anyone that has watched my channel knows how much I love the arcade game Outrun. It is a game that holds some very good memories of my childhood, and is a game that I think has stood the test of time and is a true classic in every sense of the word. So when Sega released a sequel to Outrun a few years later, I was incredibly giddy and could not wait to find it in an arcade somewhere, anywhere. So when I did get my hands on it, I was expecting so much more than what I experienced. Like its predecessor, Turbo Outrun has players driving a Ferrari, this time a Ferrari F40. Players traverse a set route across the continental United States from New York City to Los Angeles, which was the first real disappointment with this game. The original had this route split, so you could choose different paths. This kind of freedom helped extend the playability of the game, and would ensure repeated playthroughs to see each of the different endings. So I was baffled as to why Sega decided to leave it out this time around. In addition to a time limit, Turbo Outrun also adds a computer-controlled opponent driving a Porsche 959. The turbo in the title plays a factor as players can press a button to receive a brief turbo boost of speed. The player can increase speed by using Turbo Boost by pressing a button on the side of the console mounted shifter. I think this addition was inspired from Super Hang-On, as the turbo in that made the game crazy fast, but there was no time limits on that turbo, and in some stages you could go full chat with the turbo engaged. In Turbo Outrun, using the turbo will increase the engine temperature as shown by the on-screen gauge. When the gauge reaches overheat, Turbo Boost cannot be used until the temperature decreases. Now this was a feature that I did appreciate and like. Various power-ups which increase the vehicle's attributes can be chosen at various stages of the game, so you could modify the car's engines, tyres or even gears to improve the car's performance. Like a Ferrari F40 actually needed improving in those days. The visuals are super silky smooth for an arcade game, and the sprite scaling used on the cars and roadside objects is actually better looking than in Outrun, and the sheer speed of the game seems so much faster than Outrun 2. You still get some bland backgrounds however, with flat skies and only the minimum of clouds, but the weather elements such as snow and rain add a new touch to the racing. none of which affects the performance or handling of the car, I have to say. The Ferrari sprite looks a lot larger than the previous game as well, but I wouldn't necessarily call that an improvement, as it only serves to make the car look a little dull and under-detailed in my opinion. The sound is good, but instead of giving the player a choice of thumping tunes, the game has a preset theme for each stage or circuit, none of which are anywhere near as good as the original, and for me, that is a major disappointment. The sound of the engines and the screeching tyres have all been improved, with a decent amount of speech added in as well. It's a bit of a mixed bag so far. Some improvements have been made, but in other areas there are clear examples of regression.
Checkpoint.
The playability of the game is a little bit of an oddity. Firstly, Turbo Outrun is a good racing game on its own merits, and had this been called Sega Cannonball or something, it would have been fine. And yes, there would have been obvious comparisons to Outrun, but as a game on its own merit, it's not bad. But, and this is a huge but, as an Outrun game, I couldn't help but feel a little disappointed in it. It didn't really capture any of the charm that made Outrun such an enjoyable game. I would even comment this game as, if US Gold made a sequel to Outrun in the arcade, this is what it would be like. And I think therein lies the rub with this game. Yu Suzuki is considered one of the greatest game devs of all time at Sega, but this game was not a Yu Suzuki game, and it shows in my opinion. When I did manage to play this in the arcades, I was disappointed. To me, it was just another racing game, just another Outrun clone. But don't get me wrong, I know I'm being too harsh on the game, and this is partly due to my expectations not being met with it. And Turbo Outrun isn't a bad game, it simply isn't. It's just a bad game to me, that's all. I did try and persevere with it. I did play it on several occasions, but I can't ever recall wanting to go and play it. It wasn't a game I sought out to play. If I seen it, I would have a go. But something like Final Fight or Golden Axe was beside it, I would play one or both of those instead. By the time this game came out in home formats, I already had my Sega Master System and showed no interest in getting it for that, or any system it came out on for that matter. I mean, home ports of Outrun had all been either average or dreadful by Christmas 1989, and Outrun was a game I loved. Why bother trying to get a home port of a game I didn't really enjoy that much in the arcades? But here's the thing. Some home ports of Turbo Outrun turned out to be pretty decent. And in particular, the Commodore 64 version of Turbo Outrun was a really good game to play. And here it is. it was so much faster than Outrun on the Commodore 64. It sounded pretty decent too, although that tune sounds like something from a sitcom TV show or something. Visually, the humble Commodore was even able to capture the weather effects, such as the snow, and actually, the backgrounds weren't all that bad either. And the speed was really surprising, especially to me. I just didn't think the little Commodore 64 was capable of such delights. As Outrun on the Commodore 64 was so bad, this port of Turbo Outrun was more than enough to make up for that shortfall. In fact, Turbo Outrun on the Commodore 64 was a real surprise hit, and was an immensely fun game to play. It was just a case of too little too late, as the Commodore 64 was all but dead by this point. But check it out if you can. It's a real shocker of a good game. Turbo Outrun is a game I very seldom play, ever, if at all these days, but while it was a disappointing sequel, it should still be worth a look if you haven't played it already. And that was my look back at Turbo Outrun. If you like this video, then please do give me a sub and a thumbs up, or maybe even a comment or two below about your memories of Turbo Outrun on any format. And a big thank you to all of those who have subscribed or commented on my channel. It really does mean a lot, and I do appreciate all of you, so thank you. And that's all from me, folks. Thanks for watching.